Alright, welcome to Skylife TV. This is Lyram Studio, and today we are here for our program, the normal program as you know it, Meeting Point. That super program where we learn from the old people, we implement in the times that we are going through, and then we maneuver life successfully. So thank you very much for joining us, and we are here today with our regular guest, Mr. Roderick. You will learn a lot from his own personal life. Today we'll be doing a special today just for him to tell us about his life. So he's going to introduce himself to you people, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you very much, Mr. Roderick.
Okay, as I've been saying earlier on, my name is Roderick Kasongo Chimpampwe. I'm the second born of a family of 10. And I was born in 22nd September 1961.
And you are 61 years old.
And I'm 61 years old, yes.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much for that. And you know, a lot of the great things that we've come to see in our world today is inspired by people telling their stories and other people being inspired by those stories, and they go to do great things. So we're looking at you today. You've done a lot, and I remember in Livingston there was a lady. She met me and we were discussing something, and I told her, she said in Zambia it's hard for you to see a young person who get to the age of 30 years. That in Livingston, she was telling me this. I said, why? She was saying no, because young people die early here because of those abuse of alcohol and some crazy things they do. So I say, wow, but you are here 60 years, 61 years.
61, it's lifestyle. Lifestyle. When your lifestyle is not to the standard, you end up dying before you die. Most people die before they die.
Yeah, obviously. So today we want to just learn from your own personal story. From your childhood. How was your childhood like? With the family and siblings?
It was a united family, I would say, whereby there was a lot of cooperation from the parents to us the children. And we remember part of my family was in the colonial time, and the other party in the unit government. And they have
what is it like? Like you've lived that time, you lived the UNIP government, and also this time now. How was life during the colonial time and the life after just immediately after the colonial time, where the Kaunda time?
Yeah,
how was it like?
For the colonial time, my father was very intelligent, could order clothes using the post office.
He was working for the government or
for the government.
Okay. What type of job?
A senior internal audit.
That's accounting or what?
To do with accounting, yes. Okay. Senior internal audit. I started as an accountant and rose up to senior internal audit. And he even stopped using the calculator. He was just using his head. Just his head calculating, and most of the people who are coming from foreigners could now teach them the accounting system of Zambia.
Oh, he was teaching them?
Yes. Working and teaching them.
So how was life living under such? What about your mom, your mother?
Well, she was a full-time housewife.
Okay.
Full-time, but the way she was behaving, I think she was also working class, because my father could even teach my mother most of the things.
So that family cooperation was there.
Was there very much.
And it's a good background. It's a good foundation for children.
Very much. You could explain things, and we understand the things very well.
So how was life during the colonial time and transitioning into when Zambian was ruling themselves? How was life comparing? I want to just get a little bit of a comparison there.
Okay, when I came, I was 3 years old, and we lived in Chirenji. So from Chirenji, we shifted to River State 3. River State 3, we shifted to Bama Residential, where I stayed for a longer time. That's where I even completed my grade 7. Then I went to Kama Secondary School, completed my education. Then went to Master Teachers Training College.
Okay, so how old were you before the Zambian people took over power?
I was 3 years old.
Or three, just three. So
Three.
you didn't know that much. You didn't know
Yes,
much.
I was 3 years. Then in the time maybe I was about to enroll in school. I was 7. I started at age 10, 7 or 6 or so. And then later on from Vivala we shifted to Bama Residential. That's where I think in 70s, in 1970s, that's where we lived longer. Because when I went to teachers training college, I used to stay there in Bama Residential, opposite UTH.
Okay. I want to know something because I know in most African states there was something like a resistance fighting with the colonial. I'm not talking about the resistance during the old days. I mean the independent fight where different nations were fighting for their independence. I've heard something. I've seen something. They said there are some people in Zambia who fought for the independence of Zambia.
Yes,
Was it really like a fight with guns and stuff?
Yeah, for okay, I was too young to see that was a fight. Maybe in most like rural areas, because looking at the independence, okay, I remember very little. Only in 1963 when it came to Saka, then 64 were independent. So maybe in rural areas, and my father used to educate us a lot.
I mean, what like the stories your father usually tells you?
My father used to tell stories like the whites are good people, but there are some who are not good people.
It's not like the black. It's just
yes. It's just okay. In short, we just say we don't look at whoever one is, but we look at the principles. The principles. We don't hate a person or we don't dislike a person. We just look at the principles.
So, like as you were growing, at what age did you become aware of your environment and you start seeing things for what they are?
I think at the age of 3 years. 3 years. Because even I used to comment a lot. Like even my mother dresses and maybe the clothes are too tight. There was a magazine in the newspaper, Smiler. I would just make a comment that, Mom, no, this is too tight. You look like a Smiler in the newspaper. And she would laugh and then change into something else.
So, like a lot of magazines those days, people were...
Newspapers.
Yes.
My daddy could show me the newspaper. And my interest was that cartoon, Smiler, by M. Lolo, something like that. Zambian, yes. And it was very funny to see that Smiler. We could not read, but you could see the actions. Every time Smiler would do this, Smiler would do that.
So the communication was just mostly on newspaper, radio, and black and white TV.
Black and white TV. And you remember the first TV we had was Vivala Stage 3, I think in the 60s or so before when...
And you told me something last time about TV, that people were renting TV.
Yes, and when we used to go and watch at the neighbors in Vivala, then I told my father that we are tired. Each time they say don't make noise and we just peep through the window. I said, no, you need a TV, don't worry. And he rented out a TV. When he rented,
was it too expensive to buy? That's why people were renting.
I think people had no idea about maybe buying. Okay, the rental company was just too many.
Oh, so there were a lot of TV renters companies.
Yes, some could even drop their prices. What you do?
Competition.
Yes, and if your TV has a fault, you call them. In fact, there was no fault, the only land phones were there. My father would call them and they would come running to make sure that they will repair the TV.
So tell me, during those days, what business was really good that day that you thinking it should have been now, that is not even here at this time? Is there any business?
When I was very young, or
during those old days, like in the 70s, the 80s,
okay,
a business that was doing very well and helping a lot of people, that is not here today. You're talking about the TV rentals.
Yes.
I can't see the TV rentals.
It's no longer there because most people still can afford to buy TV. And then I would say the shops. That business they were very good. Very good.
More than the way they are doing today.
As it is today, it's not to the standard. Because those days you just be given money and the house number to go and buy 90 kg minimum. Just leave your particulars in Bama Residential when you went there. And my father...
Was it like that in even the compounds those days?
I don't know.
Were there compounds those days?
Compounds were there, but there were very few people living in compounds. Because most government workers were accommodated in town. The 70s where even the economy was viable.
But how many people were in Zambia at that time, the population?
That time, I think the population was, I cannot remember, but there was a comparison in Lusaka. The population of Lusaka was equivalent to the population in Botswana.
It was really small.
Yes.
Because today Botswana is just 2 million people. Today.
And it seems Lusaka is even more than that now. It's more than that. Most people, they think in Lusaka, that's where money is. And most people from other parts of the country are in Lusaka, because when they start business, the business is doing very fine, as long as they are working.
So, like I asked the question, is there a business that was then that is not here today that you are thinking that business should have been here now?
As I said, the groceries, where even children were protected. When you go with your particulars, like you're buying minimum, for example, you just leave the house number and the money.
But I think because the population has grown now and the shops, you don't know people where they're coming from. You can. I think those days, because of such organized community there, they could know each and every house. If you give somebody a house number now, look at this. This is the main road here. There are houses here. You don't even know the number. You go behind there are houses behind houses, seeding houses inside places. People can't trace that easily.
But I've seen just here, it's more like they're trying to emulate that. But what they do, like usually I like buying things on my own. So when I go there and I say, no, I organize for someone to come and carry the bag of milk. In fact, the owner of the shop will say, let my assistant carry like a bag of milk free of charge. Then you walk out from the shop with the assistant and you take it home. So if most shops can also do that, I think there will be that trust.
Okay.
You see? And you end up buying from the same shop for the services.
I think that's something they should emulate because it will attract people.
Because
I've seen a lot of people carrying that bag. Small kids carrying, big mother, old woman is carrying that thing like that. It doesn't look good.
But again, on the side of women use a lot of science. Because when you are carrying something heavy, like a bag of milk, once you carry it centrally, like on the head, the weight is shared equally. But as for a man, if you also do the same, so the men will be like complaining.
Put here it's
you to be weight on one side. But when it's centralized, that's why like you find that people may go walk long distances, they will carry a bag which they will carry behind. So that weight is shared by the body.
Okay, you are a retired teacher. I want you to tell us what inspired you to get into teaching.
I think it is more like I started teaching before I was a teacher. I used to, my age mate, or 2 years older, 3 years older, I used to be more like the boss. I would do command and even help, like I remember in grade 5, I could even help someone in grade 7. Help someone in grade 7.
To do what?
Problems like maybe school problems. Like I remember someone was talking of a farming, commercial farmer and a subsistence farmer. Then grade 7 would not understand who is a commercial farmer, who is a subsistence farmer. I started explaining to that grade 7. So even where I grew up urbanization, I would even help out. And
there is this crisis that is in the education. I've seen it is so rampant in Zambia here. This is an examination leak. Was it like that those days?
No. There was once you qualify. I remember even saying that you are the cream. And immediately the results are pasted. They were all, like our quarter primary school where I was, Bama residential opposite UTH. You find that people coming to your home. Instead of you checking, they say, Roderick, you've passed. Only 2 votes.
I'm talking about the examination leak where people are.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
In those days, once you qualify on your own, not because of the leakage. And that way, it wasn't even there, the vocabulary. It wasn't there. And there were no like afternoon classes. It was normal school. Man, once you go there again, you compete from different schools.
But so what were they doing that day, those days, that these ones are failing to even accommodate today? Because we were talking yesterday about they said they've heard, I think, 10,000 results for some students for the results. So they said because they discovered that those 10,000 they have like the same answer, they just answer the same question, the same answer, meaning the exam was stolen and given to these ones. So that's what I'm asking. What were they doing those days that these ones are failing to do to protect exams before it gets to the pupils or the students?
Okay, I remember like those days, there was a school, I think in one of the schools in Kanyama, where they suspected that there was malpractice.
So it was there?
To a small percentage. They had to prepare other papers for them to write. They were told that whatever they wrote was cancelled, and then they prepared for that school.
Like in the examination period, only one school was suspected in the whole country.
For other places, I don't know, but Lusaka in particular, and that area.
Okay.
Because even the inspectors used to move from school to school. I remember a friend was bullied in class and went outside. Then the inspector just came all of a sudden and started questioning him and said, my friends are bullying me. What about your teacher? My teacher is even adding more fire. That boy was brought in class. And he started observing the teacher. And the teacher started shaking. So as he left, he called the teacher, and then that's how we left. And we knew that that person was a government inspector. But this time, it's more like the administrator of the school. It's more like they're now inspectors.
Alright, so you were telling us about you were a teacher before you became a teacher.
Yes.
I want to find out, you said you got inspired because you were...
my father encouraged me a lot.
To become a teacher?
Yes, and when you are gifted and you understand a lot of things, it becomes interesting. Like when I was posted to my first school of appointment in the Kabwe Rural, which had no clinic. I found very good house. It's a 2-bedroom house, and no clinic, no market. Could do a distance of 7 hours or so. First, you can even walk on foot before you find a destination where to board, or 3 hours use a train. I never complained. The only thing I said, as long as I don't get sick, I'll work. I worked for 3 years, and during like inter-school competition like athletics, I prepared some boys, and they were my Boy Scouts, because I also grew up in the Boy Scout movement. I taught them first aid, and a number of them fainted. Once anyone faints, could just instruct my boys what to do to make emergency stretcher using the shades, and take that person away from the scorching sun. Then applying first aid, and you apply ABC.
Okay. Yes. So this because one thing I've noticed in most African countries is the type of setup that they have in terms of jobs and career. You have mostly teachers, nurses, military, the military, top police, army, and all those things. You don't have some of the upper level, high productivity type of jobs, like computer scientists, like like mechanical engineering type of institution or setup where the government is even supporting them to bring up engineers that will be